Video on working on the Google Developer Certification, the Associate Android Developer. Essentially, we're going to be doing some coding to just work on some of the stuff that they have listed here. In this video, we're going to do a little basic authentication application. This is going to be the second application in the series that we're doing, and so this one will basically end up being a like a login screen with like a username and a password, and a second screen with like a success screen. Very basic app. However, it will show how to do more with the constraint layouts and more with intents and how to launch secondary activities. We're also going to throw an image in there so you can see how to put an image in the application, and we'll also tie it into Git on how you can do version control and even publish it to GitHub and some other little things. So let's get into coding and less talking, and we're going to do this in Kotlin and also do it in Java. However, we're going to start with doing it in Java, and then later on we'll do it in Kotlin. But it'll be both in Kotlin and in Java in this video, and maybe I can put a link or something, or what time we do the Kotlin one if you want to jump straight to Kotlin. Here's the empty activity. We're going to name this activity hello auth, and we're going to name this one Java, because this will be the Java one. Java. Once again, in this field, either make something up that nobody's using, or put your name in here or something. Don't use somebody else's thing. The minimum API level we're going to use for this is 24 for Android 7 Nugget. Okay, so API 24, and everything else is like the pretty generic. So it's going to run the Gradle scripts and build everything. So while it's doing that, I'm going to show you a preference that makes life a little bit easy. So you go to Preferences, and then you go down to Editor, General, Auto Import, and then there's a couple checkboxes here. Add unambiguous imports on the fly, optimize imports on the fly for the current project. These two checkboxes will make your life a lot easier. When you type something in, if you don't have it imported, it'll automatically import it for you. So you want to do apply and OK, and that just makes life easier. So now we have our activity. So here, just right here, we're going to go to the design view, and you can see here's our basic hello world text that they always give you. So we're just going to delete this, and now we're going to open the palette back up. Sorry. We're going to start adding the components for our UI, and this will just be a basic like login screen. So to start with, we need a button. We also need a text view, and then we need plain text at the top and a password. So basically the general idea is they'll type in like their username, their password, and then there'll be a button here to log in, and then we can give them a little status message here. And so I want to point out over here, this will light up and give you either errors or warnings, like if you haven't done something that it wants you to do, and you can easily mouse over and see what it's saying. So we're going to resolve those, but we're also going to set this up so it'll be constrained properly. So I'm just constraining it to the sides and the top, 32, just to space it out a little bit. And this is just for demonstration purposes, the way that we're doing this. If you want to constrain it a little bit different, make yours a little custom, like that's fine. Or if you want to follow along and make yours exactly the same as ours, like that's fine too. This is all just so we can all learn how to do this, and we can all hopefully get this wonderful Google certification. 32. So the magic on the constraint view is if you do it right, it'll work with all the different phones that have different size screens. Oops. And you'll see that like just by doing these constraints, those like little red circles on the side, these are going away slowly but surely because we're actually doing what it wants us to do. Okay, so that's basically like what we're looking for, but now there's still, it's saying that there's some stuff that's hard-coded, and obviously we know that, and we know that there's some things that we want to do. So to start with, we're going to update the IDs. So if you go up to the search box and type in what you're looking for, it'll immediately go to it. You don't have to hunt and peck and look for it. So this one we will name user in lowercase, edit text. Yes. And then this one here, password in lowercase, edit text. And then this one we will just put the word message in lowercase. And then this one right here, we will name our login button in lowercase. Alright, so now they all have the IDs that we want. Now we're going to fix the text. So we're going to delete that, and then we're going to click the little edge here to get into the string editor. We're going to create a new string. Again, this will be like the string that we used for the login button. This one we'll just leave blank because we don't actually want anything there to start with. This one should not have anything in it. And then we want to put some hints in here because, like, it is now very obvious on what it's wanting. So here we will give it another string, and this is where you'd put the username. So the user knows that this is where I need to put my username at. Now it's still got these warnings asking about auto hints. So the quickest way to resolve this is we're just going to hand key some stuff into the XML. So we go down here to the text view. We can press a enter here and do Android, then a colon, important autofill right here, and then we're going to just say no. So that means that when it sees this, do not try to autofill it. And that should have been for the text box. So we're just going to cut that and actually put it down where it goes. And then the other one is a password. Do not autofill the password or the username. When we go back, everything is nice and clean, no errors. So this is the basic login screen. Now we're going to create the second part of the UI. So we just go up here. I just went back to the where the activity is with a class name, with a package name that you created. We're going to say new, and then we're going to say activity, empty activity, and we will name this one success activity. And then just finish, and now we have two activities. So the next video after this one will probably be integration into Facebook or Google to do Firebase. This is just the basic building blocks that we're going to be using on how to do this. So it's going to get a little more exciting hopefully pretty soon. So this is going to be our success screen. So on the success screen, we just need a couple things here. So we're going to need to put a button so they can log out. We're going to need, so let's just start getting this stuff. We're also going to need here's a button. And let's kind of, make this a little bit bigger for you guys. There's a button. We're also going to need an image view, which I can't put on yet, and the text view. So we're just going to throw a text view on here. And this is where the strings live, which we're going to be working on under values. Layouts is where the layouts live in case you ever lose them, and then drawable is where the images go. So you just want to pull an image off the internet, or hopefully you have one laying around. We're just going to open this up, grab a JPEG. We are going to do copy. I just hit like Command C or Control C or whatever, and then paste. And then we're going to pick the first option here to make it a drawable. Let it copy the image in. and now you have an image in your application. Really, really simple. Minimize. So now we can drag our image view in here, and then from here you can pick project, and you can actually select your image. And if you hear any noise in the background occasionally, like that's my dog there. So we're just gonna kind of make the size appropriate. Alright, so now we have like an image for the user, a little like welcome message we'll give them, and then the log out button. So once again, we need to constrain all this stuff. 32, and over here there is the same messages. Usually it's the same ones until you get the general constraint layout done. Right. 32. Just the edge, and then the button. So this layout that we're doing is the same layout that we're doing for Kotlin. We're just going to reuse this layout. So basically what we're doing now is like the same for Kotlin or for Java. That's the basic layout of what we're looking for. We're going to go up here, and some of this stuff we're going to want to maybe rename. Image views, fine. For the text view, let's name this success text. So it should be a lowercase s, always lowercase. Yes. And then on the button, the same thing. Log out button. Okay, and then we need to modify some stuff here. So obviously the word button doesn't make any sense. So let's make a string. The strings that we're creating here are for internationalization, and also it makes it so you can reuse them. Log out. And then for the text view, we just want to wipe this out. And then for the image view, content description is missing. Click on it. And this is where it's looking for a description of what it is. Success image. And I think this just shows up if your phone has a problem like displaying the actual image. Now once again we have the UI created for the second screen. So the general idea is basically this will be the login, the person will log in, they'll click the button, and then they'll get the second screen here and they'll be able to log out. So now let's get into writing the actual code. So the main activity we're going to move to. So on the main activity, once this is going to feel like boilerplate a little bit from the last video, we're going to declare all this stuff. Button, login, button. And you'll see like it just automatically imported this. So if you didn't do auto import, you're going to have to type in the import yourself. But if you're following along, then it'll auto import this stuff. User edit text. Password edit text. Text view. Alright, so now they're declared. Now we need to wire the variables to the UI. And once again, this is going to feel kind of repetitive also. Button is equal to find r.id. login button. And then this is going to be user edit text equals find view by ID r.id dot user edit text. Password edit text equals find dot ID password edit text. And the last one, message find view by ID r.id. So this is basically just wiring the local variable to the component on that screen that we worked on. And the thing to point out is it's a good practice to try to name these things all the same so it doesn't get confusing. It's also a good practice to try to put the object type in the name so you know like what it is, because sometimes you have to actually cast stuff. Now we just need a listener, so we're going to put a listener in place just like we did on the last video. Set on click listener, new view, this one right here, and this is the tricky part. When I press enter, it's and autocomplete, it will just pop in the code for us, so I didn't have to type it in. Now we're just going to do a real simple little if statement that will check the username and password against something that we hard code, and then it will send the user to the second screen. If user edit text get text string equals, and this is going to be some username, and it can be whatever you want to put there for the username. It can be maybe like your first name or your whatever name you use a lot. Get text. And like I said, we're going to tie this into Firebase in the next video, and we'll probably reuse some of this project just so we don't have to redo all the components so much. Alright, so now we're just checking if the username and password match what we're asking for. Then we're going to create an intent. The intent is like basically the screen. So this is basically pointing to itself, the get application context. And this is the name of the class that we want to create, which is obviously the second screen. So what I'm showing you here is how to pass information from one screen to another. It's an important activity to know how to do. So normally what you do, Corgily, is you put the package name here. That's your package, whatever you used when you created the app. And you can always like look up here if you don't remember what you used. So anyway, so you put your package name in there, and then you pick something after it. I'm going to put the name. We're going to pass the person's name from the one screen to the next. And this is just so you can see how to do it. Edit text. So what we just did is we just passed this as a string to the next screen. So then, and you can pass like lots of stuff to the next screen. This is just setting the message that we put on the screen to blank. Like basically, this is the successful login. And now we're going to tell it that we want to have it launch the next screen. And then just a little else statement. And this is like, well, what happens like if they did it wrong? And we'll just like put a simple message in here. Okay, now as simple as it seems like you want to type something in here, that's not actually the proper way to do it. So we want to go to the strings file, and then in the strings file we want to add a string, and we can actually use the editor. I'll show you how to do that. You could just click open editor, and then you click the little plus sign, and now you can add strings. So we're going to put the try again message in here. Please try again. And maybe lowercase. And once again, you don't want to hard code any strings in your application at all. You want to put them, anything you hard code, you want to actually put in the strings.xml file. And let's go back to, where do we leave off? Right here. So instead of that, we're just going to put get string r.string dot and then try again. So this piece of code is done. That's what the Java looks like for the first screen. Now we're going to move on to the second screen, which is going to be very, very, very simple. So we go to successActivity.java. Once again, once you start doing this, it's going to start feeling kind of repetitive. Button, and you kind of could guess what I'm going to do, right? I'm going to essentially define all these variables so we can access them. And now, like, obviously these could be like local variables. They don't necessarily have to be class variables. But this is not really meant to be like an argument on semantics of whether or not we should be using class variables or local variables. This is just more about like an introduction to the Android part. Button, find view by ID. And make sure you pick the right one. Obviously, it will show you all the stuff in the project. So if you pick like login instead of logout, that will be a problem. So now we have our variables tied together. Basically, the variables are wired to the UI components. So then on this one, we need to actually create a string. So this is going to be the string that gets displayed to the user. And then once again, we need to go back to our strings. There's the editor. And we need to add another string in here. And this one is just going to be the word hello. Obviously in different languages, like they have the word hello in different languages, so then it'll be hello space get intent get string extra. So this is where we're going to basically pull back like what was passed us. And so we go to our main activity and we just copy and paste what we used. Put that in there. And let me minimize that so it's a little bit easier to see. So now we have a string that says hello George, or hello Nathan, or hello Bob, or hello whatever. Success, text view, set text, success. Now I know that like it kind of somebody's gonna say, well, why didn't you just put this inside of this? Apparently, like that's not a best practice on writing code in Android, and it'll even pop up and tell you not to do that. That's the way that I've always done it. I've never like broken it out like that, but apparently Google has decided that, or somebody has decided, I don't know who, that that's not a good idea. So we're going to create an on-click listener for that logout button. Once again, this is autocomplete, so it pops in the code. And now we're going to make a no intent activity, inactivity. So what this is going to do is this is going to basically clear out the login state. So basically they can't hit the back button in the application and get back to the screen. Like if they were to if we didn't put this in, they would be able to get back to the login screen and then hit back and then like get right around authentication. So we actually want them to actually get logged out. So this is what the code looks like on the success screen in Java, and then we'll do it in Kotlin next. Let's hit the play button. Gradle is right now building it. Once again, if you have a problem, you can always push a little like red dot in the column here and then hit the debugger and step through and figure out where it's crashing at. All right, so hello auth Java. I'm just going to hit login and it'll say please try again, obviously. Maybe stick some garbage in here. Still doesn't work. So now we're going to put in what we typed in. And we have successfully logged in and out. Pretty simple. Okay, so now let's do this in Kotlin. And the Kotlin is going to be actually really quick and easy to do. Not that this wasn't difficult either. So we're going to say new project. Actually, before we do this, let's put this in version control, just so you can see how to do that. So you go to VCS at the top, and then when you pull down, you say check out from enable version control integration. Sorry. And then you pick your version control. I use Git. You click OK, and it'll say Git repository is created locally. And version control lets you go back and forth. You'll also notice that all this stuff is like in different colors now. That means that it's not actually in version control yet, even though you've enabled it. So you need to check all the code into your repository. VCS. Then we're going to say share project on GitHub. Then you pick the name of the project and the origin. You might get some extra pop-ups here where you have to log into GitHub. I've already logged in before, so I don't have like the extra screens. Hello, example, YouTube, Java. Click share. And then they're all checked off, and then your nice little commit message. And it was successfully published, so now if I went to GitHub, it would be there, and it's done. So very easy to do the source code integration, so you can actually update it, and then as you modify the code at certain points, you can do check-ins of the code, so you like work in progress check-ins. But this isn't a Git tutorial, this is more like just Android development. Alright, so new, I don't know what I clicked on, project, empty activity, hello auth Kotlin, Kotlin 24. Once again, package name is something unique and not what somebody else's. Click finish. And we're going to wait. And the trick here is we have both windows open. So if you don't have both the windows open, if you go up here to File, you can do Open Recent, and then you can pick the Java one, and then it'll prop up and ask you if you want to have it in a separate window or not, and you want to say yes, you want to have both windows open. So now we're going to reuse all the code that we did. Values, strings. So the first thing is we're going to go to the strings. We are not going to grab the first line, we're going to grab the rest of the lines. We're going to pop our strings in so it has all the strings. While we're here, we're going to open the drawables. We're going to put our image in there. So if you drag and drop, you're going to lose your image basically because it'll move it, so to speak. We want to just copy and paste it, so then you still have the original image there. So now our image is there. We can go to the main activity, XML. Minimize that for a second. Oop, I took it off the screen. Text. Same thing. Main activity. This one, and we're going to grab the text, copy and paste it from our Java project. That looks correct. Then we're going to go through and we're going to create a new empty activity. We can name it success activity. in Kotlin. So here it is. We're going to go to text again, and from the Java one, we'll go to text, and we'll copy the text from Java back over to Kotlin. Now we have our UI. So basically we copied the UI, we copied the strings, and we copied the image over. Very clean and easy. So now the main activity Kotlin and main activity Java. Alright, so we need something similar to this in here. Do you want to translate code? Yes, but it doesn't know how. And we're going to do val. Alright, and then right here, button. Okay, now it's being a problem. There we go, button. You get the autocomplete to kick in, and then it will import it for you also. Edit text. Alright. Edit text. Okay. Now we need all of this, so this ends right here. So we will get this. We will go here. Paste it in. Do you want to convert this to Kotlin? Yes. Okay. So it did not do the intent. Once again, I just made it autocomplete. And there it is in Kotlin. We just copy and pasted it directly from Java, and it converted it for us. Once again, login button on click listener. It's directly accessing the text instead of using setters and getters. And it's just checking, did the login occur properly, the username, the password. Then creating an activity with a class, success activity. Then it's passing the string to the next one, and then it's actually using the try again text. So that's done. And then on the success activity, we need to have 2 of these. Yes. And then we need to typecast these. Oh, these need to be vowels to start with. Button. Text view. You have to get it so it auto-completes for it to actually do the import for you, if you want to be extremely lazy. And once again, you can just grab our Java code, paste it in here. Okay. And the success text is basically pulling in our string, hello, person's name. Then we have a listener to do the logout, does the clearing and everything. So let's just play this and see how it looks. We didn't actually have to write really all that much code. All we really had to do was just copy and paste the Java version of it, and it converted it all to Kotlin. So the Gradle's running, it just finished running. So here it is, Kotlin. Once again, we can hit please try again. And there we go, log out. And the other thing we point out is if you hit the back button, it doesn't actually let you escape out of the app. Like you just get stuck like in the window. So that's the way it's supposed to work. Then to do the VCS integration here, we just say enable version control, git, okay. And once again, they're all red because nothing's checked in. Then we want to share on GitHub. Kotlin, example, YouTube. And we will share it. And then it will show all the stuff that's not in there. Click add. And then it will successfully push. So the next project that we do will probably be on Firebase, like I was saying before, and it'll still be a login screen, but it'll integrate in with either Facebook or Google. I haven't really decided yet because I haven't actually written it yet, but that's what it'll be, and it'll just build upon what we're doing, and hopefully, doing this more and more, we'll get closer to the Google certification. Thank you, and thumbs up and subscribe. That would be awesome.